So, welcome to UTVV and Camino webinar, our last Zoom webinar before the event, 4 weeks out. So we have David Bone. He is ultra runner coach, and he recently won the tunnel, which is 200 miles. It was crazy, an amazing achievement. We have Boštjan Mikuz. He's the race director that will share with us all the logistics, all the questions that you might have regards to the race, checkpoints, and other questions that you might have. And I guess if you have coaching questions, I mean, it's a bit too late joining, but yeah. So I think we can crack on by you can ask questions, you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Um, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Hey everybody. Yes, Christian. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy event. Yeah, just a couple of introductory things. First of all, I know this is the third and final webinar of this current series, and it's been such a great series. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. What I've really enjoyed is two things. First of all, I've loved the interaction between everyone that's joined the call. So as Alex said, if you have got a question, please do type it into the chat so we can kind of read it. And obviously, if there's any questions that either we don't get onto this evening, the last 2 months I've been, following up and emailing people, and Alex can share my email address for anything that becomes, maybe a little bit more specific to your own training. And that's all really cool. So yeah, I want to thank Boštjan and UTVV and Alex for the opportunity. It's been amazing. So yeah, the other point is, and I think it's most relevant to the call this evening, that I highly recommend that you all ask really simple questions. I think sometimes on webinars we get a little bit worried about asking questions, but I'd with 1 month to go to the race, I do encourage you to ask any questions, however straightforward, because usually there's somebody else on a call like this that also wants to know the answer to that really simple question. So yeah, do feel free to answer any questions. Boštjan, I guess because in tonight's one, with 1 month to go, I know that I'd be wanting to know lots of things about, are there specific things about the race, like changes to the routes, anything that I should be thinking of. I think it'd be quite nice to start this evening's webinar with Boštjan, if you want to just sort of share some things that you think are quite kind of applicable to everybody, irrespective of the distance, that they might be doing.
Yes, thank you, David and Alex, for introduction, and good evening to all the participants today. Yes, we are now 3 weeks, or actually 1 month before the event, and there are no major changes in the routes. There are some changes planned in the Imperial route, but small ones, so maybe we'll change some kilometers, 1-2 kilometers, but we will let you know in the next few days if there will be any changes on the Imperial route. But yes, feel free to ask anything else. I just saw the question right now about food, hot food, and we will jump to this topic soon. Regarding anything else about the race, yes, we are here to answer you. But of course, David, you will still help with some coaching advices, of course.
Yeah, of course. No, obviously, yeah, I agree. you know, there's still quite a lot of time between now and then. So yeah, I appreciate that people, you know, especially this week and next week, I would say are quite critical times for, you know, when you do some of your best runs in these 2 weeks, to really think about being very specific with the race that you're going to do at UTVV. So I know it's very tempting to go out and enjoy your slightly carefree, but you know, it's so much you can be doing to practice things that you will actually do in race days. So I'd be very keen to sort of know if you've got any issues with kit, if you're thinking of making any last minute kit changes, if you're worried about specific kit choices that Boštjan could help with. I know that's often like shoe choice and whether to take poles and whether to patch something up or buy something new, and whether you have enough time to use that piece of kit. Likewise, you know, I always strongly recommend that, you know, you take to races like UTVV food that you know that works for you. It's quite a risky process to, you know, be practicing with gels or electrolytes or certain types of food and then not take any of that with you, you know, and 100% rely upon the types of foods. I think it's good to have a strategy where you do both, so that, you know, and again, this week and next week are probably that, you know, you should be buying all your stuff. You should make sure you have it, you know, you can keep testing those things so that they work for you. So yeah, if you've got any questions about those types of things as well, that would be really cool. There's a question here about when to start, I guess, you know, tapering for all of the races, but this specific question has coming from Sasso. Sasso, are you there? Would you able to unmute yourself and chat a little bit more about your question?
Yes.
Hey, so you're
so
doing
yeah,
100 mile, yeah?
Yeah, I'm doing the 100 mile, but the training is has become very hard to do with all the work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty much exhausted. So I'm very curious to hear from you when to actually start the tempering process. Is it like next week or 2 weeks from now, or I don't know?
It's a really great question, isn't it? I mean, can I ask a couple more questions? So I guess again, hopefully it will be helpful for other people on the call. So if we were to take the last 4 weeks of your training, you know, like roughly how many miles, you know, approximately have you been doing for those last 4 weeks in the week?
Yeah, so I think 4 weeks from now I've been sick, so I just did around 50 kilometers, but the rest of the weeks I was doing like 120 kilometers with, I don't know, let's say 3,000 to 4,000 meters of elevation per week.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's really good. Yeah. I guess because what I was inferring by the question is, you know, it's always very helpful for you to sort of have an appreciation of, you know, what you've done in your running, you know, in your recent running, also, you know, what your background is in running ultra marathons specific to the race that you're doing. So obviously Sasso's doing the big one, the 100 miler, and you know, what's the longest race that you've done before, my friend, in previous times? Have you done other 100 milers?
No, this is my first 100-mile race,
Yep.
but I did the 100-kilometer UTVV last year.
Okay, fantastic.
And this year, during my training, I actually went and ran pretty much over the whole course of the Emperor.
Yeah.
So my longest training run was, I think, a little less than 2 weeks ago. I did 62 kilometers from Ajdovščina along the UTVV course to Otlica, so through the first transition point. And I thought that would be like my longest training run. And from now on, just maybe do a 35-kilometer run this week, and then lay off from the longer run. So to get some time for the legs to rest.
If I was coaching you, I'd give you 10 out of 10. You'd be my star pupil. I love everything you said there. So obviously you did the 100K last year, which is absolutely brilliant. And obviously it's inspired you to come back and do the 100-miler. So, you know, that is something that's always incredible in the race. You've been incredibly specific with your training. You've got on the actual course of the race, which obviously for a lot of people wouldn't be possible, but that is just the best thing you can do. And I would say, yeah, you know, for most people in these last few weeks, doing something around 35K maximum, I'd say is absolutely brilliant. That's the kind of sweet spot for ultra marathon runners, you know, something, and it can be less than that. You know, what I mean is that I wouldn't really be encouraging anyone at this point to do, you know, 50 kilometers or more in order to prove anything. You know, you've got the lion's share of your fitness. So yeah, that sounds like a good one. Alex, is there someone we need to mute, champ?
I think Sasha.
No, that's not me.
Okay, Igor, maybe.
Igor. Cool. Boštjan, there's a question for you around the kind of mandatory kits.
Yeah, actually, Carlos asked this.
Yeah.
Carlos, the mandatory kit list is available on our website. I will paste this link in the replay, so there you can find the mandatory kit list on the website. And this will be also published on the race guide, which will be published 2 weeks before the race. So let's say at the mid of April, you will get the race guide with all the information needed for the Emperor or any other race. And there was also a question, or maybe Carlos, if you want to ask anything specific about the mandatory, feel free to ask. Otherwise, there was also a question of Marco Verkamen about the food stations. Anya already answered, but yes, there will be a hot food like soup and the several at stations, and also this list will be published in the race guide. But the big hot food or meal will be in Otlica for Centurion and for Emperor in the second transition in Ceria. So this is around 122 kilometers, the second foot, and the first foot will be on the 60 kilometers. So on the Emperor you will get 2 hot foods like pasta or lasagna, something like this, and on the Centurion 1 hot food.
Boštjan, have you had to disqualify anybody in any of the previous races?
Yes, we did.
Can you tell us why?
There was several routes like shortening the races.
Yep.
And also, I think there was also some thoughts about taking a lift from one to another station.
So that's a really good point, isn't it? So, for example, if, you know, obviously, let's say I came to the race and this was my first time in Slovenia. So for anyone overseas, you know, there's a lots of new things for me. You know, it's not only a new race, but I'm not so familiar with sort of local things and road crossings and signs and stuff. So let's say I made a very legitimate navigational error, and I got myself a mile, you know, a kilometer off the course, and I made the best effort to get back on the course. You know, for someone that's not elite, someone that's not trying to win the race, is that, if as long as I have tried to get back on the course and you've seen that I've made good efforts, is that typically okay? Or is there something that I should do as a runner to let you as the organizer or the aid stations know?
Actually, on the both longest distance, all the runners will be equipped with a GPS device. So our control center will track all the runners, and normally Tom is so aware and very in control, so they normally call all the runners if they lost the track or get off the track. So yes, you will be called, and all to you here, it's very important. You will also get the informations in the race guide and the last day information that the phone needs to be switched on and available to our control office, because our control office will definitely like to get you on the phone if you will be lost or anything happen, or maybe your GPS devices will show that you are staying somewhere or something like this. Maybe normally it's technical error on the GPS devices, but still we need to restart this device and being in touch with you all the time, because we want all the runners that they are feeling safe and they are really safe on the race.
Yeah, sounds good. What's the cutoff time for the Emperor? In how many hours do you get to complete the Emperor?
46 hours.
So that's a lot. So for someone like Sasso that's doing it for the first time, potentially, what do people do in your race if they get tired or if they want to sleep? Is there something that more runners tend to do inside of your races?
They have options to sleep on the aid stations, not all, but on the transitions like Kotlica and Cerje, we will have options with these sleeping beds, so they can take a rest, and of course they can sleep there.
Do people? I mean, are you allowed to sleep on the trail? Can you have a 10-minute sleep wherever you want if it works for you?
If they are comfortable to do this, they are allowed to do it also on the trails. Yeah. But of course, they need to take care that everything is in safe mode. So, like that the weather is not too harsh to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there will be mountain rescuers on all the way, and they will be rescued. If they will see the people sleeping on the trails and look exhausted, they will definitely be taken off the race.
Cool. So we've got a great question here, Boštjan, from Luca. Can we get Luca on? Can you unmute yourself, Luca? Not sure if Luca's there. So Luca asked, any advice to someone that is just getting into ultras? So should I start slow with some 50Ks, or is it okay to go straight to the big boys, the 100Ks and more? I mean, this is such a brilliant question. And not only do I get asked this question all the time, but also I observe people doing this, Luca, all the time, which is this sort of desire to go big, to go big early. And I would say as much as you can, just don't do it. You know, there is so much to be gained from, you know, whatever the right phrase is. I mean, I'm going to say like earning your spurs, you know, starting small and just absolutely loving and embracing that everything that comes with learning a new skill and, you know, a new sport. You know, Sasso's already said, you know, did 100K last year, would have learned so many amazing things. And, you know, stepping up from 100K to 160 plus K is a significant step up, you know, especially in the Emperor, but, you know, would have learned so much. So, yeah, I think, you know, starting with a 50K, and also don't forget, there is such a big difference between doing a 50K somewhere flat. I hosted a race this weekend, which was alongside a river, you know, totally flat, almost zero navigation. You didn't need to carry anything, no mandatory kit, loads of aid stations. You know, whereas, you know, if you were to do, you know, your first 50K in the mountains where, you know, you need to you look after yourself just as much as you would to do a bigger event. You know, you need to be practicing those specific skills, Lucas. So, yeah, you know, 100% look for local races, find good people to do training runs with, to potentially do your first 50K with. Be curious, you know, ask loads of questions. There's some incredible trail running forums that exist on every single platform. It's such a super supportive environment. It tends to be very non-competitive, which you know, it's in terms of athletics and the marathon, that's a very competitive arena. So in ultras, people just want you to do well and want you to finish and to be safe. So yeah, do that and enjoy yourself. Yeah. Boštjan, any sort of thoughts about people who start in your, what's the smallest distance, Boštjan, that you offer in UTVV?
Actually, yeah, the smallest distance is 11K, or even like just the trail non-competitive event. It's hike and wine. But yeah, the smallest distance is 11K. So we advise to start with this 11, 15K, but for one who is thinking about 50K or even 100K, of course, maybe 30 or 50 is good choice to do it. But definitely I agree with you that I wouldn't jump directly on 100K.
I guess the, you know, if I guess to add to that point, Boštjan, that Luke is specifically suggesting, I mean, if I was coming to UTVV for the first time and I was comfortable with the distance, but, you know, had obviously no local knowledge, you know, I think I'd be fairly comfortable trying the 50K, you know, because obviously it's a fairly big commitment to travel, to fly potentially, you know, and stuff. So, you know, I think it's finding the comfortable place to start, isn't it? Where typically 100K and 160K is a pretty big undertaking. There's a lot of things that you should really be asking yourself and curious about the event. All events are different, but I think 50K for people that are comfortable with the distance, you know, I'd be relatively comfortable stepping up at that particular distance. You know, obviously if you're incredibly new to trail running and if you were a local to you, yeah, of course I would do the 11K or one of the other distances, you know. Cool. Boštjan, there's a great question here about mandatory equipment. Do you want to answer that one?
Yes, it's never ending question or answer. It's difficult to answer, but yes, thank you, Marin, for this question. Actually, yes, there will be an expo with some gear providers too. You can buy something, but not everything. Definitely, you can buy shoes. That's definitely. Yes, you can buy some clothing, but I would advise that you come prepared. So read carefully this race book, race guide, and there is all the equipment listed in. And also if you check the website right now, I think you can be well prepared.
Boštjan, this is a bit of a random question, but I'm not sure if you've heard of a race in the UK called the Spine. The Spine's kind of like our biggest. It's like 450 kilometer multi-stage. And one of the things I was really impressed with a couple of years ago was that on one of those forums that I was talking about, that runners were they were typically asking for certain things that they didn't currently have. They were on the mandatory list, but they were slightly, obviously, as the question that's been asked, it's potentially something that you go to a shop to buy, to have on the mandatory kit list that you take home and you never use. And what I was really impressed with by this race was that you could go on there and say, look, are there any local runners that might be able to lend me? Obviously it's not possible for everyone to get every bit of mandatory kit from the help of a local runner, but at least to start that conversation that none of us want, mass buying of stuff that never gets used or only gets used once. So I was just wondering if you had ever come across that, or whether that, if somebody from overseas would have a forum that, existed in, more local, where at least they could ask the question, rather than, as the point that's been made here, have to go to a shop and have to buy. Have you come across that?
I think yes, they can ask the question, and if somebody is that can lend it, of course. But yes, we have also in Boštjan, if there won't be any equipment available on the expo places, there is also some sport shops in the city that you can equip yourself.
Yeah.
Especially if there will be bad weather, suddenly changes in the weather. So we will definitely request more harsh equipment for the bad weather, like jackets, trousers, waterproof or windproof, and you will have options to buy it in the local shops.
There's if anyone's not reading the chat in the webinar, there's a great answer from Anya about what some of the weather conditions have been like in previous years, especially the 200 miles an hour wind. I think that would blow the mountain away, wouldn't it, Anya?
Kilometers, David.
But still,
you could put one of those Red Bull.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I think the chat auto-corrected it. No, I thought kilometers.
Yeah, but still there is no 200. It's around 100, 100 up to 150 in very bad scenario. But in this case, we will most probably change the route if the wind will be over 100k.
The weather will be fine.
Will it? Anya says the weather will be fine. Is there any snow on the mountains?
Actually, in the worst case scenario, it can be. It's options, but I think that we didn't have any so far. Yeah. So ninth edition, and we didn't have any snow in the mountains in May. Now it's in the end of April. but yeah, we definitely didn't expect it.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions? I'm feeling like everyone's super confident, Boštjan. I think
Yes.
everyone's going to rock up. They're going to have all the kit. They're all going to PB. I think you're going to be closing the aid stations early. I think everyone's going to be the best year you've ever had, buddy. Come on, Carlos. Yeah, if anyone's got any other questions, I'm just going to start to ask some really silly questions if there's no more questions. What's the wildest animal that's been spotted inside a UTV? I absolutely love bears. I would definitely come over if there was some bear spotting. To be
Okay.
Any bears?
Then you should come. Luckily, we didn't spot it, but yeah, there are bears. But during the UTV, we didn't spot any one because there are so many people on the tracks, and there were spotted some these wild pigs or
Yeah.
Yeah. This I think this is the most dangerous animal that was spotted during the UTVV.
Yeah.
But bears was not spotted, but there are our friends around.
Wait, Monica's going to get a PB. Monica, what can you unmute yourself, Monica? Let's have a chat.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Monica.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Yeah. Which distance are you doing, Monica?
60. I mean 6 zeros.
6 zeros. And how's your training been?
It's okay, I hope.
Where do you live, Monica? How far have you got to travel to the race?
Oh, I'm from Ljubljana, so I have only 1 hour drive.
Brilliant. So you're familiar with the actual route, or will the route be new for you?
Oh no, I never been in Nanos, so
Yeah.
it's the first time. All the things, the trail, the ultra, and the Nanos.
Which bit of it are you most worried about, Monica?
Cold on the top of the mountain.
Okay. And what are you doing? What's your strategy? What's your plan?
Always when I ask people what is like the number one tip,
Yeah.
they all say that I need to eat. So I taste a lot of food on my long runs on the weekend. And the pace is, I mean, I don't have like some goal, but I just want to come to the finish line. So it's the pace, like it doesn't matter.
And what do you like eating on your longest run? What's the best for you?
I tried like energy bars, gels. I love like mandarin, like pomeranchas.
Oh wow. Cool.
Maybe some bananas, but only the half.
Yeah.
And I think that this is it.
Do you like peanut butter?
I never tried the middle run, but always the beginning.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of nutrition companies that they make like specific, maybe sort of protein peanut butter that come in sort of squeezable pouches. So they're really good for big ultra events. So you'd have a screw top, and then you'd squeeze a bit of the peanut butter. Typically it'll be slightly different texture, and it'll have some more things in. It's not like necessarily the peanut butter you would get in a jar, but it's the fact it's really easy to transport. It's something you can easily put in a race vest or a waist, because it's not very bulky. It fits around shape wise. With the screw thing, you can just have a quick squeeze bit and then put the thing back on, which is obviously not easy with gels when you take the thing off. And it's very calorific, so you don't need to take too much on board to get like I said, it's more for it works better for sort of longer distance, you know, sort of more of that hiking pace. That it's not the sort of food you would typically have for like a fast run. But you know, if you're just what you pointed out, you know, you want to keep taking on foods, and that keeps up your not only your energy levels but the ability for your body to keep warm. I have a top tip for you, Monica.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever been skiing or done any winter sports, but you know, like when it gets very cold, you can buy these like pouches, which you would sort of, they're these little squeezable things, and when you squeeze them, it activates heat, and you can put them inside of your gloves. And
yeah, but it's on legs and like lower back, it will be still cold. Only in the hand will be okay.
Well, the great thing about these sort of pouches is that you can put them, you know, you can shove them in, you know, if you get a cold part of your body, you know, you just put them like wherever you want to put them, and they last for a long time, you know. They're really, and like I say, if anybody is going to do like a mountain-based event, the one thing you must avoid is to get you know, any form of, you know, intense cold, because you typically won't be moving quick enough, or perhaps have enough, you know, mental capacity to do what you need to do to get warm without being in an aid station and doing all the things that you can indoors. So you've got to try and take as much effort as you can to prevent this stuff before it happens. So I get, and it's not uncommon, I get very, very cold hands. And, you know, like if you were in the mountains and you know what it's like, you might need your phone or something, you take your gloves off because you can't use, and it doesn't take me very long time at all for them to get very cold. And these pouches are the thing that will, you know, supersize kind of warm in my hand.
I mean, because I trained like now for like 16 weeks, and we have like snow, and I'm tired of the cold run, because I feel more cold in my thighs.
Yes.
They are like freezing when I run. Even if I run like fast, it doesn't get hotter. I mean, it's always cold in my thighs or lower body, and this is the most thing that I'm scared if it will be not sunny.
I think like from it's always an interesting subject, isn't it, in terms of, because everybody on this call is very different. We're very unique. So one bit of information it'll be incredibly helpful for someone, but perhaps be, you know, regulating your temperature is something that's incredibly unique. So, you know, you could maybe do certain things in this particular race which are effective in heating you up, and then you may get too hot and you may start sweating, and the sweating might cause, you know, rubbing, and that rubbing can turn, you know, these are all the things that you're always trying to avoid. So, you know, there's, you know, you could be very cold at the top and very warm at the bottom, you know. So it's just kind of having that appreciation of knowing for you individually what causes the most distress, like the areas that and what are typically. So if it rains, you know, there's nothing worse than having wet clothing and leaving wet clothing on and then being exposed to
the wet socks are the worst.
Yeah, it's totally the worst. Totally the worst. So again, you know, a really good question to ask yourself is like, how long do you keep doing something that's very uncomfortable? You know, like at what point can you try and, you know, change, if at all, even if it's possible to change it, or do you just need to just keep on going, you know? But they're the sort of things that are typically the challenges that you only come across typically when you experience them for the very first time, when you're doing your longest run. You know, if you get a blister in a certain part and then you've got another, you know, 80 miles or a few 100k to go, you know, it's a long time. You know, do you leave the blister? Do you try and you know, go see a medic? Do you do something? So yeah, they often talk about the benefits of visualization, like, you know, to try, you know, try and think about these things, and, you know, try and think about what you would do. I use merino, Monica. So I specifically buy clothing that's made out of merino wool, and you can buy like a merino base layer, both for your body and for your legs. So if I was doing, you know, I knew I was going into the mountain in the nighttime, I would equip myself with the warmest stuff, and I'd have it ready. I wouldn't wait until I got cold, you know, and I'd rather be too warm than I would being sort of too cold. So yeah, trying to find the material of clothing that works well for you, because some stuff makes me really itchy, some stuff is like very annoying. So you have to keep experimenting, you know. And it goes back to the point I was mentioning with Boštjan. I mean, none of us can afford to buy 10 different pairs of shoes and 10 different race packs and whatever, but try and borrow them, you know, try and, where possible, see if there's lots of companies that are more new that do kit swap, or kit, you know, like borrowing schemes. A lot of the big brands now, you know, you can contact them. They've got more of a responsibility to share items, or let you borrow them, or even rent them, you know, for short periods of time. So Monica, all the best. Yeah, good luck for your race.
Thank you.
Cool. Boštjan, Carlos asked a really important question. Did you see that one?
Yes, I think it's about down jackets and
No, he said, is there wine in some of the aid stations? I would like beer, wine, shots. What have we got going on in the aid stations?
Actually, yeah, Pavel is famous for a very delicious wine, so all of you are very welcome to try it, but not during the race. You can try it before the race, well in advance, and after the race. So on the aid stations, hopefully there won't be any wine, but of course we have these local volunteers that can be a bit on their own, and they can maybe
a bit tipsy.
Yes. We cannot control all the parameters, but yeah, definitely we try to avoid the alcohol on the track.
Of course. Yeah.
But good. in the finish line, you will get wine if you want, and also Anya just answered you that you can go and change for Obelix wine, hike and wine. This is actually the hike for all the fans and the supporters of you guys who run, and so that your wife, your children, your parents can have a hike and be entertained in the wine cellar nearby.
Cool, I love that. Boštjan, we've got a good question here from Christian. Christian, are you there, my friend? You able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, here I am.
Hey, Christian, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Where are you based, buddy?
I'm in Styria in Austria. So
brilliant.
Neighbors to you.
Yeah, excellent. And how's your training been, Christian?
Yeah, well, I feel quite comfortable to start the race. So I think for me the goal is for sure just to finish. Yeah. But I'm pretty confident that I will do it.
And what specific race are you doing, Christian?
I will attend the 100K.
Brilliant. And what's the what have you done other 100K races before, Christian?
Not so far. Actually, I started with the ultra marathons or ultra trail runnings the last year. So I did 3 of them with 70K something.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's brilliant. Christian, I mean, like I say, I'm only asking this question in order to be able to answer your brilliant question. I mean, like very, very roughly, how many hours do you think it's going to take you to do the 100K in UTVV? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, my goal is to do it in 20 hours.
Brilliant.
Yeah, something around that seems to be doable for me.
Yeah, good. So Christian,
it would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great to finish in that, because then my family can wait for me, and that would be very nice.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So your questions are great questions. So you, on one of the previous webinars, we were talking about like what anyone on this webinar does, you know, in the last sort of days, week before the actual race, and knowing that the race is going to be, you know, quite tough, and, you know, lots of hours on your feet, and depending on, you know, the start time of the race, and by the time you finished, you know, there's every possibility that the 100K and definitely the Emperor runners are going to be very sleep deprived, and this might be a very new experience. So yeah, we were talking about you know, what are some of the things to do, weren't we, about kind of strategies. And what I have, again, a bit like the great conversation with Monica, there's no substitute for, you know, doing this stuff ourselves. You know, Christian, what might work for you might not work for Carlos, and might not work for me. You know, there's some reasonable evidence that you know, if the few days leading up to something like these big events, that you would do well to get some extra sleep. So even though you might be less familiar with what's called as cap napping, so maybe, you know, in the afternoon trying to get half an hour, an hour of sleep, there's some pretty good evidence that it's actually a good thing to do. And it's not something that you need to do for a week. It just literally is the last few days leading up to the race. Try and extend your sleep in that small block. So the clear thing obviously is to go to bed you know, an hour, 2 hours before your normal time. If you have the luxury of being able to not set an alarm for the day before, 2 days before, and oversleep, then that's obviously your body telling you that, you know, you needed that sleep. You know, we're all creatures of habit. So, you know, if we allow ourselves just to kind of go to bed late and set an alarm, you know, will radically limit the benefits. So yeah, I mean, I've done it myself. I think, yeah, if I was doing the 100K or the 160K, I would want to be as sleep efficient as I was, and, you know, really relaxed. You know, we underestimate just how stressful it is to travel. It's very stressful to fly. You know, it's very stressful if you are the person doing all the logistics. So if you're the one who has to stress about flight times, or, you know, driving to the start location and figuring out where your Airbnb is, if you can get somebody else, like your partner or a friend, to do any of these things, it has huge benefits. You know, you just should be not reading, not overthinking. You know, this sounds like you know, yeah, but just do it. You know, just afford yourself as much you know, kind of calm and rest as you can, you know, prior to the race. So yeah, if you can, try and do some of those things. Yeah.
Very specific, as the 100K starts at 10 p.m. If I'm right.
Yeah.
Is it a good choice to have a bigger rest in the afternoon or late early evening, or is it enough what you suggested before to have just this nap?
So for a 10 p.m. start time, if you were able to get an hour or so sleep in the afternoon of that day, yeah, then, you know, if you feel like you know, you're tired. For most of us, it's going to be very unusual, isn't it? I mean, you're just you're naturally going to be overthinking everything, aren't you? So it's just, you're just, your body and your mind, your brain is just preparing yourself for something quite enormous. So I would probably struggle, but you know, Christian, give it a try. Yeah, as you said, if you know, it would be good for you if you can be in that relaxed state, not really doing too much in those hours leading up to 10 p.m. And yeah, if you could just, you know, even if you're just lying down, you know, just cover your eyes and just lay still for an hour, then don't underestimate the power of that. Just because you don't feel necessarily that you slept, it's going to be far better than traipsing around going shopping or doing anything else, you know, on your feet. Yeah, try and stay off your feet and be as relaxed as you can, buddy.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good luck, mate. So we got time for a couple more questions before we get to the end. So Luca has asked, do you think that people should still include some speed sessions when training, or are easy runs for the base better? Yeah, so again, it's a really great question, because when we had the two previous webinars, you know, we were very much focused on this idea of, you know, the types of running sessions that would be most beneficial for you. And we really are now in the window where you should be trying to find a good balance for yourself and your body. You know, the window's too small now to massively change you know, your physiology. You know, you're not really going to change much in terms of your ability to do too much, you know, that's going to make you any quicker in the race. You're more likely to do more harmful stuff. So to be honest, I would be telling my athletes, you know, just run more easier runs, you know, run to feel, listen to your body. You know, we still are a few weeks away from the race. So, you know, clearly to the question we had earlier on this evening about tapering, it's too early to go too deep with the taper, but I wouldn't be advising on anything too excessive. You know, like, you shouldn't be doing anything at kind of 80-90% of full max out capacity. You know, think more of you know, 50%, 60%, low heart rates. You know, we mentioned earlier, didn't we, like 30 kilometers, you know, is a nice sort of like the longest one that you perhaps might want to consider this weekend and possibly next weekend. But you know, all of those bigger numbers should be much smaller when you get into that last kind of 2 weeks to 10 days. Typically, if you're doing the 100k and the 160, you know, and then the last 7 days, 5 days, I would perhaps be alternating between a rest day and a simple run day. You know, so conventional wisdom would say, you know, go from 100% of your biggest run week to 50% 2 weeks before, and anywhere between sort of 30 and, you know, 20% and those sort of 5 days leading up to the race. So, but again, if any of you on the call are a bit more experienced, then you know your own personal self. I know some people that just do not function well by reducing their mileage too much. You know, they stress themselves out by you know, not running or so yeah. So, but yeah, if this is very new to you, then I think you will get more advantage by you know, quite reducing in a reasonable way your mileage in that last sort of 10 days, and be as refreshed and ready to go in race day and to have a brilliant time. Yeah. Boštjan, any final points from you, my friends, for everyone about to do the race?
Actually, David, thank you for this last wise sentence. I think it's very important that they did. So that you can reduce the mileage before the race. The final, I don't know. It's 4 weeks before the race. We are ready for the runners. So and available for their questions on the emails every day. So we are trying to answer as fast as possible every email. But yeah, if you guys have any questions before, try to ask 14 days before the event, because during the last 2 weeks we will be totally occupied with the organization. So definitely there will be a time gap in the answers. But yeah, as we said before, you will get the race guide with all the precise informations you need to know. And also we will post the race briefing online in the week before the race. So I think it will be about 2 or 3 days before the race. Also because of the weather conditions, we will know exactly what the weather would like to be. And so we can decide if there will be any changes or regarding the mandatory equipment, if there is any changes. And so this is it. So I think I'm very happy that you attend today this webinar. And this is also already the 3rd webinar. So I would like to say thank you for all of you to attend, and especially for Alexander and David, who supported and lead these webinars.
Thanks, buddy. Boštjan, I've got three final takeaway tips to all the amazing people on the call. So the first one is that whenever you do ultra marathons, in preparation for your ultra marathon, always remind yourself about the why. What is your why? What is the why that's going to get you to the finish line? And it could be, someone inspiring you, like a family member. You could be fundraising, but you need, when you have a bad moment, go back and cling on to your why. The second tip is really, I've got a great friend who always talks about gratitude. And I think gratitude is something, it's the least thought of superpower when it comes to ultra marathons. But, we all need to be grateful that we can do this thing, that, being in the beauty of Slovenia, in the mountains, surrounded by, wonderful people, we should be grateful for that. And that's enough. It supersedes everything else. So yeah, if you can combine your why and your gratitude, then you've won before even starting the race. And my final top tip is take a toothbrush. Like the best ultra runners in the world, what they do is they brush their teeth in the middle, especially if you're doing the Emperor. If you get into an aid station and you brush your teeth, you'll feel like you've been reborn. So that's my final top tip. And yeah, have a good time. Yeah, enjoy it.
Thank you very much, David, for sharing your wisdom and your tips. They're great. Boštjan, thank you very much for sharing your everything about the race. I'm sure that all the runners they're informed now. And thank you all that attended all the 3 webinars and that attended today. And we'll see you all in 4 weeks.
Good luck, everybody.
Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.